The engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flag flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy indeed contact, and there goes Valentin Barrier. Oh, the leader's lost it! Noah Ader loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses the lead. That's an amazing bit of work there from Luke Addison.
The inside we have three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George Bidby. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Genisus Extreme YouTube channel. It is David Christie here with you for another week here of the amazing Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship Season 3, Round 4 here at Zolder, and returning for yet another week. Like in, what, 2 out of the 4 rounds already. I think he's a firm favourite of the championship so far. Joe Peak, welcome back to the commentary box. And it's safe to say I think this championship's left its mark on you, my friends.
Yeah, like I said last time, I'm having a heck of a time out here. The racing is phenomenal. It's close, it's fierce, and honestly, I'm seriously impressed with the little time that I've had spent here, and they're up against a doozy of a track today.
It certainly is, of course, going all the way to Zolder in Belgium. One of the most underrated circuits, I think, here for the GT3s to be taken on tonight. We'll certainly be talking a little bit more about it. But, of course, we are on to round 4 of the championship. It is a 12-round championship. We end things at the end of June at Nordschleife. We've been to Red Bull Ring. We've been to Imola. We've been to Suzuka. But tonight, as we said, Zolder is what is on the cards. It is going to be a fantastic night of racing. Of course, points mean prizes. The Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship has a whopping $1,250 prize pool that's going to be distributed across the top 5 drivers, and that is including a $530 prize for the winner and a 3-month Coach Dave Delta sub and IMB gloves. Although personally, I've seen the little keyring. I'm not gonna lie, I want the little keyring. Second place gets that. Third place gets 220. Fourth place gets 115. Fifth place gets 60, and sixth place gets a Coach Dave Delta sub. And everybody else gets tons of other stuff as well. So really, a lot to go for. And let's not forget the biggest prize of all here, Joe, is the bragging rights to say that you won the Genisus Risk Championship.
Exactly. I mean, that's what every driver is racing for, right? Is to take the victories, to take the championships out here. So, yes, we all want the money, but there is the ego that always has to be filled.
Exactly, and God knows I've got a pretty big ego that needs to be filled. You can see that at the top right, Immersive Labs, who are our proud partners with this. Genisus Risk are proud suppliers of Immersive, and you can get yourself a chance to get a $10 Steam voucher by just typing in Immersive Labs in chat. It's so simple. Just type it in chat, Immersive Labs, and you get yourself into the draw at the end. In the meantime, let's go and find out and remind ourselves, if you weren't here, why the hell not, what happened last time out here at the championship. Let's take you through the grid here at Suzuka. It's Maciek Malinowski with Chris Hartfeld on the front row there. Second row is going to be Marco Lomi and Noah Ader. We get going, we get the green flag. Malinowski off to the start then, and Chris Hartfeld immediately jumps into the toe. He isn't messing about trying to outbreak into turn 1, although there goes Marco Lomi. That was brave, that was bold, and well, that wasn't quite so beautiful there, Joe.
Well, as we got a few cars making contact coming through turn 2 there, and as they switch back around, looks like that's going to be Shada who gets it going. A couple others maybe overshot the first corner as well.
Absolutely chaotic start to the race, and I've got a feeling, yep, this is going to be Valentin Barrier that gets caught up in this then. A little boop from behind. and he is sent off into the grass. I can imagine that his chat, and again, for good measure,
curve, got to watch out because it's a long run down the backstretch behind them. I believe that is Alexander, who might have a shot at getting involved too.
Oh, this could go horribly, horribly wrong as there goes Sherritt jumping back in board, but gets taken by Jack Alexander as well. There they are. As that is a huge hit, huge contact. That's a cut off into the barrier, and that is going to be a retirement there for Tommy Rozier. There, let's have a look here. Coming through into hairpin. It's going to be a bump from behind. It is. Oh, he's been murdered. Oh, that is.
Now, here's what's extra hurtful about this one is Lehtinen is the highest Honda. This is a Honda track. This was their test track, actually. We're hearing that rain is expected to finish in about 30 minutes, so that'll be plenty of the race left over to try and switch over to the dries, but Sherritt going way off through 130R, and he did the right thing there, not trying to hold on to the curb and straddle it, because you could find yourself spinning out very easily. You got to just accept the blow.
Whitehead, we'll come back to that in a second. So on the inside, do you know what? I have to absolutely apologise to Jan Ruschel. Jan Ruschel was busy having his own race. Why? The 63 has got a penalty, and indeed, yep, there it is. Collision with car 999. Oh, that is a car off. That's a Ferrari. That is George Boothby. And that is also Noah Ader. So that was from 5th position. So that's 5th and 6th position coming together. And they've dropped down at least 4 or 5 positions there. And that cap, because here we go. This is Noah Ader trying to hold on to position. And, well, yeah, that's not the best, is it? Side by side, George Boothby then tries to take the position from Albin Manson through 130R. That was a bold move. Pertile, the fastest man on track as well. They come through the Casio triangle. Pertile snatches that position like candy from a baby, as Marco Lomo now coming under huge pressure here from Amadeo Castorino as they go up into the hairpin, and that's a move up the inside from Grandes Caracas. Huge fisticuffs. I said there was going to be fireworks. I said there was going to be tantrums, and Caracas has had enough. Riley wants to get past as well. He's getting thrown out to dry here.
Team going to be able to get side by side once again. He did that at the chicane. Can he actually get this one done? He's got his nose almost fully ahead. There he is. He shuts the door.
Unbelievable. What a move. What absolute vision from Grandes Caracas. He lined that one up coming out through the S's there. But it's Maciek Malinowski who navigates Casio Triangle, and it's going to be a fantastic effort from the Porsche 992 driver to come across the line and win round 3 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship Season 3 here. Chris Hartfeld in 2nd position. It's certainly going to be Grandes Caracas who is going to take the final step at the podium, but who is going to finish in 4th position? You can see there, Amadeo Castorino is going to come across the line in 4th position, Jonathan Riley in 5th. Maciek Malinowski with the win there last time out, but it's Amadeo Castorino though who leads at the top of the field. It's a bit of a thin one though, because it's shared with Jack Alexander and Maciek Malinowski, so a 3-way tie. That includes obviously their drop rounds as well, so that will change over the course of the season, but absolutely level pegging at this early stage of the season here as we go into round 4, the first third of the championship almost under our belts here. I mean, that is absolutely unreal when you consider that Chris Hartfeld, Philip Pinar and Grandes Caracas all tied on 96 points as well. It is just absolutely wild, Joe, to see absolutely nothing in the championship right now.
And as we've seen during the races, that's a good testament to how, yes, we have our regulars up at the front, but it's more of a case of who is on their game that day. It's not a guarantee on who's going to come away with the win each week.
It absolutely is the case. So 4 minutes 20 in qualifying remains as we head down to the track to get our first look at track action tonight. And I'll be honest with you, after the traumatic time at Suzuka last time out here, Joe, it's fantastic and reassuring to see nice, clear, crisp blue skies here in Belgium.
Exactly. It's definitely not Spa in that sense. We don't have the constant threat of rain there. It is quite gorgeous out here along the canal. But like we mentioned earlier, this is a very difficult track. It's a very technical track with all the chicanes throughout. As somebody had a problem there with a little yellow flag coming out along the front stretch. Honestly, probably getting good track position going to be pretty important here, because despite all the heavy braking zones, it's usually extremely difficult to pass.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit speechless at the moment. I'm struggling to find the words to convey what I'm just seeing before my eyes here. One of the things that I usually use in ACC or sim racing in general to convey the fact of how close qualifying can be is I'll say, oh, well, there's XYZ amount of drivers within 1 second of your pole sitting time. Tonight, we have no word of a lie, 26 drivers within 1 second of the pole time. 26 drivers within 1 second. That is, I mean, the reason I brought that up is you said about how important it is to get qualifying. Like, it blows my mind to see the fact that Eamon Murphy, right, he could improve by 1/10 of a second and only gain 2 places. He could improve by 2/10 of a second and take up 8 places. That is just absolutely nuts.
Well, we've got Murphy here on screen now, and coming out of that final chicane to the line. Let's see if he does improve, and well, there you go, up to 8th position there with that one. So yeah, everybody's got something really motivating here in these final few moments of qualifying to try and push that little bit more.
I would like to formally apologise last week for having a bit of an aneurysm when for at least 15 seconds I couldn't get out of my head the fact that Valentin Barrier and Jaroslav Hontik are not the same person. I don't know what it was, right, but I swear to God, for at least half a minute I was convinced that Valentin Barrier was Jardier, but yeah, it's been drummed home, ladies and gentlemen. That message is firm and clear on that one. But what is also firm and clear on that moment is Valentin Barrier. Now, normally we see him qualifying outside the top 10 and pushing his way all the way through, but he's not bothering with that tonight. We're not getting any of the fun games. We're just getting straight in to second place, just 1/10 of a second off of George Boothby right now. There is just nothing, absolutely nothing to gain right now, and we're up to 27 cars within that 1 second gap. I mean, it just shows how, I mean, they've literally extracted the most of the pace that they can get, I think, here from Zolder. We're now just talking about absolute sort of millimetres of improvement that they can do here. But this is now when we're going to see the shocks as well coming in here, Joe, given that it's under a minute to go. If you have got something special in the tank, like, say, Florian Durkop there that just jumps up into second place here, now's the time to bring it out, because, of course, you limit the chance for your opponents to get anything back at you.
I mean, it's impressive for a number of reasons. We've got so many cars here, and this isn't the longest of laps. So for them to be able to find space out there is impressive. But also, I've always considered chicanes to be those sorts of corners where you have a lot to lose, but a lot less to gain usually. They're typically kind of one way through them. It's hard to try and find some sort of trick to go quicker. And yet all these drivers are managing to have nailed the multiple chicanes that they have throughout on this one to get so close as the checkered flag now comes out, and Santema is the first one done, and that number 14.
Yeah, he does an improvement there, or gets around about 3-4 places of an improvement. We're watching your last race winner from the last round there, Maciej Malinowski in the 992. Random past the ball racing. Love that. Let's go. Currently down in P12 just now. That sounds terrible. That sounds like, oh my God, he's so slow. But he's only 0.3 of a second off, and he will not be improving as we go to Eamon Murphy, currently P9 at the moment, 2/10 of a second slower. He improves by 1 100th of a second, and that's enough to move him up into P8. Does Amadeo Castorino have anything in the tank to not take that line down? Because that's absolute disrespect there from Eamon Murphy to take a whole position on that last lap there. Of course, joking aside, it makes it so difficult. It's so important to really nail every single apex, every single acceleration point here. But Amadeo Castorino comes across the line and does have it in, so fires back immediately and goes up to P6. But I think we had only one car left on track there. That was the 213 there of Christian Duploy. I'll keep an eye. He's going into the pit, so he is done and dusted. And there we go. Qualifying is in the bag here again. A whole 27 cars within just over 0.8 of a second. I mean, that is absolutely wild, because we saw Paul Nowski improving on that last lap there, half a second behind the leader though. But it's George Boothby that's going to be on pole position here, Joe. A big moment and a big chance for George to convert that into a race win here, because overtaking opportunities, it's quite an aggressive track. You have to send the car in. You have to dive in.
Exactly. And Castorino being able to jump up to 6th there right at the very end, I think that's going to be critical because we have to remember he's the points leader coming into this. So he needs those good finishes, and getting himself 3 more up at the start takes away some of the work that he was going to have to do. Although Boothby's definitely going to be fighting hard in that Ferrari to try and see if he can come home with the victory today and make some inroads on that lead.
Absolutely. I mean, one surprise for me, Florian Durkup getting up there, second position on that front row of the grid with the Honda, car that we've not seen tons of this season. We've seen quite a bit, but not up right at the front. And great to see that. The Aston Martins as well having a very strong showing. Valentin Barrier and Amadeo Castorino up the front as well. But 2 minutes 40 left to go on the warm-up part here. This is where the drivers are making their changes as well. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, you can claim your lifetime license for only €25 to ACC Drive. It is your one-stop shop for everything that you need in ACC. Whether you need an engineer in your pocket, whether you need to get a live overlay HUD on your screen, anything like that, get over to ACC Drive. We're using it for the live timing, for the commentary. I've got to say, I absolutely love it. I've used a lot of different overlays, a lot of different HUDs. I love how clean, how clear, how crisp it is. It gives me everything that I need to know on one page. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Right, 2 minutes to go. Let's take you through the grid then for round 4 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. On the front row, it is George Boothby in the Ferrari for Veloci Esports, alongside Florian Durkup for Get Quick Racing in the Honda. On row 2 is Valentin Barrier for Slow In Fast Out in the Aston Martin, alongside Philippe Minard in the BMW. Jack Alexander returns to the championship this season, and he is in row 3, 5th position, alongside Amadeo Castorino in another one of the Aston Martins. Chris Hartfeld is on row 4 with a Ferrari alongside the other Ferrari of Grantas Caracas, and then it's Eamon Murphy in the McLaren alongside Tommy Rozier in the other McLaren for Genisus Esports, and they are 9th and 10th position. 11th place for Tariq Adam for Genisus Esports, 12th place for Maciej Malinowski in the 992 Porsche for Random Pastable Racing. Marco Bischoff for Team Nitro in the number 2 McLaren is in P13 on row 7. Alongside him is going to be Luke Addison for Genisus Esports in the 13 Ferrari. It's Sakari Lettering in that big bad Honda for Wild Things Racing in 15th position, and alongside him on row 8 is Cody Sherritt for Genisus Esports in the 38 Ferrari. It's a Genisus Esports row 9 with Abe Santima in the 14 McLaren, alongside Tobias Moberg in the number 7 McLaren as well. Jaroslav Honzig, that is Jardier. He is in P19, and he is in the 39 Aston Martin Veloci Esports car. Alongside him on row 10 is going to be Paul Nowski in the 500 McLaren. Noah Ader starts in P21, the Team Nitro 46 McLaren. Alongside him is Ronaldo Boersma in the Genisus Esports number 5 Mercedes-Benz. Row 12 is going to be Eric Mukska in the 44 Genisus Esports car, alongside Noel Hache in the number 18 McLaren. And as well for Genisus Esports in 25th position is Albin Manson. He's in the 127 McLaren. He's going to be alongside Maximilian Frank on row 13 from the number 310 Porsche. And then on row 14, Christian Duploy alongside Jonathan Clifford for Genisus Esports and Alpha Sim Sport respectively. That's the BMW 213 alongside the 999 Lamborghini. And at the back of the grid, all by himself, but he is not going to be short on partying tonight. Red Kiwi Racing 76 Ferrari of Luca Schumacher rounds out our 29 car grid here for round 4 at Zolder. And we did a little bit of moaning off the air about the chicanes. I think we're absolutely in agreement that I'm an old man. I think that we should just let them race. But yeah, feels like chicanes everywhere. But either way, that's what the drivers have got to navigate tonight. What do we think is going through the head of George Boothby just now, Joe? Because from previous seasons where we've seen him go off in pole position, if he leads at the end of lap 1, it's game over. But if he's held back or he goes down into second position, then it's usually all hell breaking loose.
So here's my thought. If he gets away, I don't think that's going to be the end of the world this time, because these chicanes do force mistakes a lot of times. It can catch drivers out very easily. Those curbs are extremely tall, so it's not the end of it that he could make a mistake that will lose him the lead. The other thing is, I said it earlier, this is a very short lap around here. Lap traffic can always play a big part, especially with as big of a field as we've got here. If you play your cards right and you stick close to him, you could use a pick at some point.
Certainly could. Good evening to everyone in the YouTube chat. Good evening to Reginald Mittelini, Tariq Adams in there, Ava MKD, Farida Adam, Roland Stein is in there as well, and not out there on track. So why have we got Roland in the chat and not out there? Love to know why, but either way, we miss you out there on track, buddy. But here we are then for round 4 of the championship. We are at the 1/3 way of the season, and it is still far too close for comfort right now. George Boothby is on the front row alongside Florian Durkop. Which one of these two is going to get the jump coming out of this final corner here, this 2.492 mile circuit here, as the car's making their way through towards the Jackie X corner into the chicane, and then it'll be out of there, and it'll be up to George Boothby to control the pace, to control the field, and to decide when he's good and ready to get going. But Florian Durkop there on the outside line looks very eager to get going. Here we are then for round 4 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship here from Zolder. The green flag flies and we get underway. That's a cracking start from Florian Durkop. He's trying to go around the outside, but he's not going to have the pace there. Immediately coming under pressure there from Valentin Barrier. George Boothby has a little bit of daylight there. You can see the BMW there as well. Philippe Minard trying to make a move. Jack Alexander in the 1 Ferrari has a little switchback there, tries to move up. It's 2x2. Casarino, Hartveld, Caracas, Murphy, Tommy Rozier and Tariq Adam all going side by side. They get into orderly fashion, but there's a bit of an accident further on. That's a Merc off into the gravel in the background there. They'll rejoin. Just the one car that we've lost at this early stage in the race. They will get going again, and that was the number 5 of Ronaldo Buursma, as you've got a melee going on just up in front there. I believe that's Sakari Lehtinen at the front of that field there. Lay onto the brakes here. You can see cars squirreling, trying to avoid locking up here. I'll be honest, some excellent driving standards on display so far. I'm saying so far because it might very well go wrong in the next 5-10 seconds here.
It's so narrow at this track. It's basically turned it into rush hour out here. As soon as somebody gets stacked up, nobody can find a way by. Someone almost going down to the Boulderberg hairpin there off track and into everybody. Didn't see if they wound up running into people as we watched Jack Alexander going to finish the lap here in 4th. So made up at least one at the start. And thankfully, I think despite a little bit of craziness, I think we got through it without a major accident.
Yeah, and the time screen updates now to show, unfortunately, he has lost a position down to 5th there, but again, he's right on the pack as we've seen Paul Nowski. Now, we saw Paul at the back of qualifying earlier on, right up until that last lap there when he got up to P25. He's already made 3 positions there, so some great moves for the number 500 McLaren driver. He's currently making his way. The thing is with Zolder is that, you know, it's the first lap is exciting, and then you get 10 minutes of what can essentially be single file traffic. And the only time that gets split up, because it's a 60-minute race, you've got a pit stop to stake, so you know there's nothing to gain here other than staying in the slipstream with the cars in front. But you'll always get at least 1 or 2 people being mega impatient here, Joe, and trying to send it in.
Exactly. So you need that patience to try to wait for somebody to make a mistake as we'll come through the hairpin. There's just a little bit of a wiggle back and forth here by Jochen Rindt. And then it's into the Jackie Ick chicane, which is a much tighter affair as Manson gets edged out coming out of the Boulderberg hairpin once again. So yeah, drivers are going to be poking their nose, and if you're one of those behind that attempted battle, just kind of set yourself up, be prepared, because there's a good chance you could get an opportunity.
They could, and the great thing about that is that I hope that this is what we see time and time again from the championship, because if you'll notice, the first couple of rounds, first 2-3 rounds are manic. There's lots of overtaking, there's lots of aggression, there's lots of silly mistakes going on. And then round 4, 5, 6 and 7 are usually fairly quiet, fairly orderly affairs. Some great racing still nonetheless, but a lot quieter compared to the first couple. And then it all wraps up again for rounds 10, 11 and 12. So we're seeing this for the second season in a row. This seems to be what's happening here. And of course it could all go completely differently in the blink of an eye, but for the most part we're all single file traffic here, and we're starting to see already some fairly decent gaps here.
Hanzik, though, is trying to make an aggressive move through Turleman and actually is successful there. So nicely done by the Aston Martin to kind of squeeze his way by what I think was Santema in that McLaren. The
problem with that, though, is with teammates battering each other. That's a nice look. As we've got a Genesis Esports car off in the background there. That is Noel Hatchey, I believe that is. Off the background, and Elf Board has been absolutely murdered. I do apologise, it was Cody Sherritt that's off in the background, not Noel Hatchey. Noel is still firmly in with the group here. But the problem with Jirsar doing that is the fact that he's now 1.8 seconds off of the group that's in front of him, 2 seconds now. So he can fight, but you can see the clear gap now, the clear 2 groups that are out there. Talking of which, we've got 2 little groups at the front as well. George Boothby has broken away with Florian Durkop, meanwhile Philippe Menard is struggling to hold on to that. He's got Jack Alexander right on his toe, and then Grantis Caracas has got what can only be described as about 4,000 cars ready to punch him out.
Yeah, but he is starting to stretch away now. In fact, someone diving off to the side there just behind him as we saw a flash of that. Looks like that might be Castorino having to hold a few drivers that are just as hungry. Tariq Adam as well. And the popular spot is still coming out of Buttes and into that Turleman chicane.
Certainly is. This is a wild start to the race. I mean, it may be single file at the moment, but it's certainly got a lot of fireworks on potential. As we're watching Tobias Moorberg here for Genesis Esports Academy. He is chasing down Maciek Malinowski, your last race leader. Meanwhile, let's go and check out a replay then of some previous accident. This is Cody Sherritt and what happened to him. So this looks like it's coming up to that right-hander up to Boulderberg block. And it's on the brakes and just makes to be fair, that was less of an accident, more of an accident avoidance there from Cody Sherritt. So, you know, fair play to him there.
Exactly. It's always appreciated by others when you kind of sacrifice yourself to avoid winding up in an accident, but it's very little compensation when you wind up at the side of the track and losing multiple positions. But you know, that's the bed you made. You got to try and make up for it. You still have plenty of race here with less than 10 minutes into this thing. Barrier now down into 8th position, if I'm seeing that correctly. Wasn't he up in the top 2 at the start of this?
Yeah, he started from 3rd position and then got himself up there. Florian Durkop now in 2nd position, but that Aston Martin has gone backwards at a rate of knots. as has the other Aston Martin, Jaroslav Honzik, who tried to make some improvements here. The other one, though, Amdeo Castorino, still up there and still holding on to that 6th position, as there's a little nibble there from Chris Hartfeld there in the 57 Ferrari, just behind, eager, poised, waiting to try and make a move here. Has a little look to the left-hand side, thinks better of it. There's never a chance there. He'll have to get that going for the first left-hander there, as you've got a car going wide in the background. That's Marco Bischoff, who then has Tommy Rozier and Luke Addison all over him right now. That is going to be at least one, if not two, positions going to be lost going into turn 1. How to go from hero to zero very, very quickly. Marco Bischoff trying to speed run that achievement right now. As you said, less than 10 minutes gone in this race, and you know, one of the things we always bring up is about strategy and the fact that they've got to do a mandatory pit stop here. I'll be honest, I don't think they're going to have the mental bandwidth to even think about strategy here tonight, such as how intense this racing is.
This is the place where you need that mental bandwidth for the strategy, though, because as we're seeing, it's so tough to make the passes. You're going to have to get creative and use those pit stops, but it can so easily go awry depending on where the traffic is. So you really have to time it. But the biggest thing, I think, goes back to what I've been kind of touching on. You need the patience, because if you just keep it on the island, most of the passes we've seen so far are drivers that are letting others make the mistakes and wind up at the side of the track.
Yeah, for sure. What I'm loving watching, though, is these little pockets of racing. The other thing that I'm loving as well is the fact that Florian Durkop here isn't going anywhere. We normally see, and this is what I said, George Boothby normally just streaks away with it, but that Honda absolutely keeping the Ferrari very, very honest here tonight. I'm genuinely surprised, because we don't tend to see this, and I'm very curious as to how Florian has got that Honda set up, given that everybody else dropping away very, very quickly indeed. But given that they're going to have to come in to the pit stops between 40 minutes and 20 minutes to go, they've got that set pit stop window here. I'm thinking the overcut tonight is going to be very, very powerful, with how squashed together all of this traffic is. We've got another yellow flag for Ronaldo Bursma, who comes into pit lane, I believe that is, or he gets going either way. It looked like it was on the entry to pit lane. No, he does keep going, so that was just not coming out of the final corner there. We've seen plenty of accidents coming over these chicanes, over those big sausage curbs, Joe. Those can be absolutely brutal if you get the wrong angle on those.
Exactly, and I talked about them a little bit ago. Those things can knock you off course, and they can also do damage to the car, so you got to watch out for them. You don't want to bound over them too hard, too much, or you could find yourself hurting the suspension or the aero parts. And these GT3 machines definitely need that aero to make a good bit of their speed, as we watch Addison trying to crack into the top 10. But unfortunately, the 29 in front of him just having none of it for now, and behind him, Bischoff in that too is breathing down his neck.
It's a lot of pressure to be getting put on, and as I've said many times before, when I've done sim racing, I absolutely detest having cars right on my back bumper, because I crumple like a cheap suit. I cannot deal with the pressure whatsoever, as Abe Sansema in the middle of a contact there, and I'm not sure that there's going to be getting Christmas cards sent between those two after that little incident there. I'm sure that's Genesis Esports versus Genesis Esports Academy, so maybe a little intra-team rivalry, kind of like Red Bull and Toro Rosso, but a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more fisticuffs, I think, from those two.
Yes, and team leaving nothing on the table. Look at him bounding over the curbs, and look how much that hurts his exit speed. He knows it. He goes defensive immediately, with Muxa going to the outside, but it doesn't look like he's got enough, so he's going to have to slot back in line.
Oh, this is brutal, because the two of them now just tripping over each other. That's going to allow Nowski to catch up very, very quickly indeed, and Christian Duploy to also potentially catch right back up to the tail end here. But again, they're fighting out, and there is the McLaren just behind here. So this is getting very, very sketchy indeed, because this could turn in from a two-car battle as Santima cuts the door off and closes it. I'm a little bit lost for words, Joe. That's not exactly the ideal racing line.
No, he's not going to be forced to slow down to give his time back. I'm curious if the stewards will deem that as some sort of cut track and force him to give up the spot. But we'll see in a bit. And yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things I also kind of don't like about chicanes is when drivers just, oh, darn, I missed my braking point. But they get to keep the position. Oh, here we go. Nice little move by Hartfeld, but couldn't quite get himself side by side into there. And sounds like we do have a message from race control. Incident between the 127 and the 5 on lap 1. 15 seconds for the 127 machine.
Yeah, so the 127 is
Manson.
Yep, Albin Manson. And the thing with that is that I can't see him on the track. I did see him on the track, but well, we'll keep an eye on that one. 24th place, sorry. That's why I couldn't see it. There we go. As we're watching this battle, Christian Deploy, Nowski, Muxka and Santema up there as well. So do you remember when that was a nice little 2-car battle, and it's now just a 10-car battle royale that we've got going on? No Hatchie recovering there alongside Clifford. The thing with it as well is that what makes it so interesting and so entertaining is that, yes, they might be on the same team or they might be sister teams or whatever, but they are absolutely all out there to race for themselves. And there's part of me that loves that chaos. I live for that drama of being in the team meeting at the end and listening to the absolute rage fest that they get.
It's the popcorn gif in our head, you know. It's not good news, but boy, is it entertaining. It's the Jerry Springer of racing for us, basically.
It's like in soccer when you get the halftime team talk and the manager just goes absolutely ballistic and starts throwing sports bottles, drinks bottles everywhere. That's what I see in my head when they come in for their post-race chat. But to be fair, I don't think that's actually what happens in any way whatsoever. Now, interesting little development to the lead of the race. Florian Durkop has lost touch with George Boothby now. I say lost touch, it's only a second, but for all intents and purposes, I've got a funny feeling that's it done. Florian Durkop won't be bringing that gap back in. George Boothby knows how to manage the tyres. He'll be bringing them up slowly and he'll be opening up that tap and pushing the pace as best as he can. Philippe Minard, in the meanwhile, he's still 2 seconds back on Florian Durkop right now, so they're fairly safe with that. But Jack Alexander and Grantis Caracas now, that is the big fight for third position at the moment, and it's just way too close to call right now through the rest of the field here. What has caught my eye is your former race leader there, Maciek Malinowski, down in 992 in the 992, down in 14th position there, Joe.
Yeah, he's definitely not where we're used to seeing him, unfortunately, and he needs to try and make some of that up, considering he's tied on the points lead right now as Alexander using up plenty of the curb there in the number 1. He's chasing for that podium position with Minard in front of him at the same time that Castorino is kind of sitting and waiting behind. And frankly, what we've seen from Castorino is he's kind of that Alan Prost sort of character. He just keeps racking up the finishes, getting whatever points that he can. So I wonder if we'll see him just kind of sit and wait for Caracas to try and make a move and fail at making that move and then pick up the spot.
Well, we'll wait for it to come up on the race control here, but oh my goodness me, poor Abe Santema has been absolutely slapped by the game. With a drive-through penalty. Now, I'm looking, I cannot see anything. I don't think that's race control. I think he's breached all 3 of his track limit warnings already. That is brutal. And if he's done that within 15 minutes, can you imagine what it's going to be like for the entirety of the race?
And honestly, that was a thought I had before we came on. That's another thing about those chicanes. It's so easy to just transgress those track limits, trying to push them a little bit too hard. Who else is heading in behind him? Manson, it seems.
Yeah, so Manson coming in to serve a 15-second. Oh, no, he's done. That car is... Yeah, that's a strange one then. So he's parked the car he's decided that he's maybe just had enough, and that's quite disappointing. And so's Abe Santima. Oh, okay.
I have to confess, I'm never a fan of rage quits. I understand, because sometimes the adrenaline is so high, you're done. You don't want to deal with it anymore. But to me, a good racer always says, never says die. You have to carry on. You don't know what's going to happen. Keep pushing, get whatever results you can, and see that checkered flag.
No, but I mean, it's like, hello, this is the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship on the Genesis Extreme channel. It's not... It reminds me of me being 8 years old and having a birthday party with all my friends round and not getting the present I wanted and having an absolute hissy fit, absolute temper tantrum, and locking myself in my room.
This sounds weirdly specific. Are you pulling on some bad memories here?
I was going to say this is sounding a bit like therapy, isn't it? Sorry. Right. Yeah. Anyway, back to the race, folks. There we go. 42 minutes left to go here. The point I was trying to make is that it does seem a little bit. I mean, look, maybe there was issues for one of them or both of them. I don't know, but it does feel a little bit petulant to be rage quitting like that. And I mean, Cody Sherritt coming in, I get the feeling this might be another one here because it's far too early for a pit stop here. And yeah, what is going on? That's 3 drivers tonight that have Jack Alexander. I get the feeling he's going to be getting, what we say about race control slapping wrists. I don't think it's going to be a wrist getting slapped. I think his wrist might get broken tonight after that one. That was a little bit rough. We'll watch the replay maybe to see if that's actually what we saw was correct there. But also, you've got to say that Grants Caracas is struggling a little bit there. And Jack Alexander already getting a 15-second time penalty. Oh my good God, what is going on tonight?
Wow, stewards are getting their money's worth for their pay on this one. Also, man, that was a rough lap for Manar because he just got shoved out of the way. Remember, he was up looking at a potential podium here and basically got pushed out of the way as we're going to take a look at what race control is saying. 15 seconds for car 1, Alexander, for the collision on lap 3. So that wasn't for that. That was for many laps ago. So he might have another one coming his way.
That's why Barrier is down out of the top 5. You were asking that. So that's obviously been contact between those two, and Barrier's lost a couple of positions because of that. I mean, he's a good, 6 seconds now away from that fight there. So that must have been a big hit. Well, it certainly must have been for race control to be having a look at it. And, well, do you remember 20 minutes ago when I was saying that this was fairly well behaved and that this was quite a quiet race? I'm going to immediately take that back now because this is starting to get a little bit nasty here as we've got 2 cars trying to go to one. It always amazes me how long it takes these drivers to realise that that's not going to work, that somebody is going to end up losing out because of that.
There's a give and take to it. You almost kind of have to approach it NASCAR style where sometimes you got to put your hands up and just allow the other car a little more space or give it through, as we got a replay of an incident here. That was Bischoff versus Malinowski. This is that incident from lap 3. So let's see how egregious this was. That's pretty egregious. That's... Ooh.
I mean, the thing is, for me as well, is that Valentin Barry is slowing. Jack Alexander obviously has taken way too much speed into it, didn't realise that car's going to be there. Again, I've got no doubt that there was no intent in that in that move whatsoever, but yeah, it's clumsy, I think, at the end of the day. But either way, pit stop window is open. Drivers get 20 minutes to jump into the pits to change fuel and get themselves back out onto the track as well. And with that being said, I still think I would be preferred to wait at least another 15 minutes before coming into the pits here. I feel like the overcut is going to be massively, massively OP here tonight.
Yeah, and I think, because you mentioned that earlier, my first thought was, well, in that case, if you're one of these cars that is stuck in the train, fuel save like mad, because if it's the overcut, as Moberg makes his way back onto the track up into Butte, it looks like he'll be able to carry on without too much incident. if you can go those extra laps and use that overcut, then yeah, that's going to help you more than trying to risk the undercut like we're seeing so many drivers do. But I mean, now's the time to gamble on that because if you are stuck in that train and they are going that much slower than you, then you should be able to jump them if you can get those faster laps in.
Well, let's see how this is all going to pan out now, because as I said, with your race leader George Boothby, he has opened that gap up now to second place to just over 1.2 seconds. So I mean, it's not tons, it's not massively going out, but it is still going out. It could be brought back in, but again, it's a case of how much does Florian Durkop want to dance with the devil, because that's now gone up to nearly 1.5 seconds. What I will say is I kind of hope that Jack Alexander has learned his lesson from last season, where he got himself into a lot of trouble for criticising. We'll come back to that in a second. That's a yellow flag, as that is the number 13 of Luke Addison, who gets it all wrong at the chicane. That's not certainly the last time. And there we go, the one is gone. You're joking. Oh no, Jack Alexander got a drive-through penalty. He'd exceeded track limits and he's rage quit. I don't believe it. Do you know what? You know what really annoys me? That was literally, as I said, I hope he's learned his lesson from last season about composure.
You're tossing out commentators' curses left and right, my friend.
Left and right. I'm just banging them out left and right here. This is. It just do you know what? It really. It winds me up so much, Joe, on a personal level, because I'm not a very good racing driver. I'm not a very, and I say that in terms of I'm not fast. These guys are stupid fast. They're aliens. It's disgusting how fast they are. And you go into a server them, and I've been in championships where I've had people that are way faster than me, and you still keep going. I mean, there was one esports championship I did this year where, no word of a lie, it was a course of it was over 2 races per night over the course of 6 weeks. And I took part in the first 2 races and couldn't take part in the rest of the championship because I had commentary obligations from then. I still qualified for the grand final of that championship because I was the only one that had done 2 races. Everybody else had rage quit through the season, and yet I still managed to. It's stick in there, as we're seeing here with a brilliant overtake from Eamon Murphy there over Amadeo Castorino there. That Aston Martin just not able to push past it here. Beautiful move. And the thing is this is what racing is. This is what it's all about here, Joe. And I think we're going to get a replay of what happened with Luke Addison.
Yeah, let's take a look at this and see if we can find out a little bit more on what went down into the Kleine chicane. Wow, yeah, he took way too much of the first one, and then it was just a knock-on effect that sent him straight into the second set of curbs, and that knocked him off the side of the track. Castorino now coming on in for, I believe, a scheduled pit stop. Same thing with Minar. Kind of surprised we aren't seeing more drivers waiting longer, like you said, for that overcut. Addison going to return here in the number 23. So right now, still Durkop leading with Caracas sitting in second. Boothby leading, Durkop second, and Caracas third.
Yeah, they certainly are. But just over 30 minutes left to go in the race here. Round 4 of a 12-round championship. Crucial points on offer as we reach the end of the first third of the championship. Season 3 already flying by. Remember, we end things at the end of June at Nordschleife, but for tonight we are here at Zolder, halfway through, or near enough halfway through our pit stop window here, coming up to the halfway point in the race. This is Maciek Malinowski all over the back of Tariq Adam, and well, I tell you what, that lad has got Teflon shoulders in the number 9 McLaren, because he's dealing with that pressure very well indeed. That Porsche looks hungry right now, Joe. It looks like it wants to take that 7th position quite badly.
Yeah, Malinowski, like I said, vying for a potential points lead, is going to look down to the inside, and I was going to say, oh, well, that takes care of the problem right there, as the McLaren's going to be pitting in. And, you know, honestly, that is a bit of a danger here. I've seen it happen before, where if drivers are not completely aware of where their brake markers are, too focused on the other car, they can be suckered in by that other car pitting and completely miss their brake marker.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation to have. The thing is, as well, is the situational awareness that Malinowski has to have as well there, Joe, to not freak out. And because, 9 times out of 10, you'll follow the car accidentally in front of you in whatever it's doing. So it's great awareness for Malinowski to remember that, he's braking to his own brake marks and not having to kind of follow the car in front and end up off in the gravel in no man's land between the final corner and pit lane.
Exactly. There's a billion things going on in racing that you don't think about, that it's so easy to make those mistakes just from little distractions such as that. Castorino now down in 19th position. I believe he took his pit stop already, though. Yes, he's already had his pit stop, so that's why we see him down where he is. And chasing on Hartveld, who also, I'm pretty certain, has taken his stop, getting ready to get back out, as Tariq Adam also returning from his pit stop.
And the thing is again, I'm going to be so curious to see where these drivers end up. I'm still saying, and the fact that the top 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are kind of staying out. Vincent Barry decides to drop in as well. I honestly just think if you pit in that final sort of 8 to 4 minutes of the pit window, you're going to get such an advantage because everybody's going to be locked up in potentially traffic and tripping over each other, and you can just be out there absolutely hammering in lap times on your setup's already warm, that and everything's all dialed in. So although that could go the other way as well, you could lose a lot of time there as well, but one driver we're not seeing lose a lot of time here is George Boothby in the leads of the race in the number 800 Veloce Ferrari. So he is just circulating away, he's just doing his own thing. And this is, again, as somebody that's a vaguely average driver here, Joe, it's very annoying because George makes it look so damn effortless. And you speak to him afterwards and he's always so happy and cheery, and he just, he's such a cool guy. And you're like, I wish that I didn't look like a sweaty tryhard even try to get near that pace.
Yeah, but I just simply appreciate that I get to tell their story from up here. I've long since given up hope of being a quick driver, so I'll take what I'm good at, and that's getting to display their talents in a way as we watch Max Frank come around and get a little slidey in his 310 Porsche out of the final chicane, sitting now up to 7th actually, as he crosses the line. And heads to, this is, I guess, now the second half of the race.
Certainly is, as we've got another retirement, I believe. Is that was 19, I saw bringing out a yellow flag there. Where is Grantas Caracas? That is another Genesis Esports driver, and I get the feeling that is, let's have a look. He's still there, so that's absolutely fine. I was panicking thinking that the number 19 had dropped off, but he's still there. Unreal. Right, anyway, watching Chris Hartveld onto the back of 72 of Valentin Barrier. Now we're starting to get an idea here of where the drivers are kind of filtering out after the pit stops here, and I'd be interested to see, because Jardier is into the pits just now, Jaroslav Honzik in the 39 Aston Martin. Now, the story of the day for me here, Joe, is that those Aston Martins, while they had the pace in qualifying, they had some, a good turn of pace in qualifying. They've normally qualified outside the top 10 here. The race pace just hasn't quite gone the same way.
Unfortunately, and the other thing that I'm kind of watching in all of this is it does look like with so many drivers pitting early that Boothby might actually catch up to lap traffic here quicker than he anticipated. So keep an eye on that.
Certainly will. As who is that just in front of Jaroslav Honzik? That is the Ferrari, actually. Or McLaren just up in front of him. That is still battle for P9 just now. Interestingly, somehow that gap between George Boothby and Florian Durkop is now 11 seconds, but it's not. It's because that's Eamon Murphy that is now showing up in second place. Florian Durkop into pit lane, as is Maciej Malinowski. Sakari Lehtinen also into pit lane. So we now just have 5 cars here who have not pitted, and still, I think we're now seeing why that is the case. We'll see if Florian Durkop, who has actually got completely clear track now, if he can fire in some absolutely banging lap times here, he might be able to prove me wrong on this one. But certainly we've only got about 2.5 laps left for drivers to come in and do their pit stops, the mandatory pit stops here on round 4. As that's straight in the pit lane for Maciej Malinowski, straight into the path there of one of the McLarens, I believe that is, just in the background. Oh wow, that was a nip and tuck thing for 10th position there, and oh my goodness me, that could have been so very, very different for Maciej Malinowski with Tommy Rozier just behind him. And to be fair, a lot of respect from both the drivers there, Joe. They held their position, they held the foot in, but it was Maciej that had the inside line.
Indeed, and a lot of times just getting that apex away from your rivals can be a big part of the fight there. Bischoff trying to do that with Ader and his number 46 McLaren coming around the last apex of Turleman, heading towards Boulderberg. A little bit too far back, unfortunately, to try and make the move into here. Might as well focus on the corner exit, see if you can set yourself up for it.
The setup, though, is so important, isn't it? Because this is one of those tracks that quite frustrates me in terms of the layout and the flow, because it's very stop-start. It's, you know, straight, corner, straight, chicane, straight, corner, corner, straight, chicane, chicane. It's a very, very topsy-turvy circuit, and you don't really get that sort of ability to just put your foot down and really get the run on a car here. It always feels like it has to be a bit of a send.
Yeah, and well, we saw that at the beginning. Remember how many drivers had to sharpen their elbows just to get the pass done. Unfortunately, for a few, that resulted in some penalties on top of it, but it's definitely a track where you can't be shy if you feel like you have to make the move. But that then just kind of reinforces my point that maybe it's better to just stay patient, sit behind that car, and force them to make the mistake to give you the easier pass.
Potentially. The other thing that I'm thinking about as well is tonight we were complaining about some of the drivers disconnecting and, you know, deciding to head off. I'm thinking if you're one of the drivers outside the top 20 tonight, you are rubbing your hands with glee at all the free points that you are making up, because it rapidly increases in points as you get inside that top 20, and then you start into like between 40 and 50 points where maybe you were only going to score 20 or 30 points. So realistically, it could be like double the amount of points just because these people are leaving the race, and you can really make a good impact onto your championship with this. Of course, for them, they might be considering, well, I'm just going to use this as my drop round. But the problem is, with 8 minutes left to go, wait, what?
Booth being second.
How did he lose that position, or was that on pit lane? That's what we need to know here. Either way, I mean, this is going to be a huge fight, but my God almighty, George Boothby in a very unusual position here. Florian Durkop into the lead of the race here, but Boothby absolutely wants that position back here.
So a couple things could have happened. Either Boothby made a mistake and went off somewhere. He may have had a slow pit stop or something like that, and that cost him. Or it could have been some of that lap traffic that we saw him approaching. I think we saw at least one car that he had to try and get by. Either way, impressively, Durkop has used this clear track to perfection.
And this could be dangerous as well, because if Boothby doesn't clear Durkop immediately, that could allow Philippe Minard and Eamon Murphy to catch right back up as well here. We all know that in no way are we suggesting that Florian Durkop is a slow driver, but the thing is when you are under pressure and when you're having to drive defensively, which is what I would be doing in a position like this, because there's no way in hell I'm letting George Boothby get even a sniff of the lead of the race here as he tries to go around the outside there. That's ridiculous. I mean, the absolute confidence that Boothby's got in the setup of that car, that he can just send it and make cutbacks left, right and centre here. But the thing is that already we're starting to see Philippe Menard trying to... I will come back to that in a second. Good God almighty, as the good old JR would say. What a move for George Boothby. I'm sorry. A, we need to get a replay of that. And B, just again, the absolute confidence that he has in that car is absurd.
Well, before we get to that replay, though, we've got a message from Race Control, a penalty for car 213 for causing a collision. That was back on lap 10, so that's about 14 laps ago.
And that's Christian Duploy that gets given that penalty, and that is on the number 500. So, yeah, well, that is a very, very difficult day at the races nonetheless. I mean, a lot of penalties and a lot of drivers getting hit with penalties here, but they just have to kind of make do with it. It's all they can do. Although what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to see who our number 500 is. We'll get to the bottom of that very, very shortly as we get a replay. I'm hoping, Joe, this is on our overtake. Right, let's have a look at George Boothby. He's on the right-hand side. Looks to the outside here. What happens next? Oh,
just a mistake. And
wow.
I kind of, that's what I could tell, honestly, from inside the car when we were watching it. George he basically illustrated what I've been preaching this whole time, is he put the pressure on. He forced Florian to race as hard as he could, and Florian overstepped what the car was capable of. He thankfully caught it, but that's all it took, is that one mistake that slowed him up on the straightaway, and he had clear air.
Unbelievable. That is how it all goes in the space of, well, absolutely no time at all here. And Durkop now 8/10 of a second. You've got to feel that gap is just going to go up and up and up. But either way, nothing will take away from the incredible performance of that Honda tonight, because over the course of ACC here, the Honda is a car that has been right here from the beginning, the NSX, the Acura NSX. But the car, it's safe to say it hasn't had its rub of luck with the BOP, because we've not really seen it in competitive action, and it's only been recently, within the past couple of updates, since Season 2 basically, that Honda has really come back to life here. And I've got to say, I'm really enjoying it, with the fact that obviously we're using the low fuel motorsport, the LFM BOP, given that this is essentially seen by a lot of the drivers as the warm-up for tomorrow night, the LFM Pro Series. It really is the perfect accompaniment. But back to the point I was making about that Honda, it's just great to see these cars getting right back up to it.
Yeah, and that to me says that maybe it didn't have the oomph earlier, but it must have the agility, because this is a track that really requires that car to thread the needle, and Durkop's wielding it to great effect. I mean, it's a shame that he made that mistake, because like we saw, he was keeping George honest. He had him within those 2.5 seconds the entire race, jumped him in the stops, and it was just that one tiny hiccup that gave it away. Now, there's nothing to say that George might not make that himself. It's still about 2 seconds between them right now, so maybe Florian could get back into it later, but I mean, it's almost out of his hands at this stage.
It's a tough watch, but either way, I think there was also an air of inevitability with the pace that Boothby had. It was just going to be a matter of time for him getting past there. But either way, it's done. It's dusted. Boothby off as near as damn it 2 seconds to the good here, and Durkop basically trying to hold on to what's left of that second place here. Boothby has lit the afterburners and is in another postcode at the moment. The pace that Ferrari, that 800 Ferrari has got is absolutely sensational. Plenty of battles all the way through the field though. For instance, 5th position, Valentin Barry still holding on to 5th ahead of Chris Hartfeld. You've got Amadeo Casarino fighting off Maciek Malinowski. You've got Noah Ader fighting off Marco Bischoff. So there's still plenty of action to be had here in the 4th round of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. And really enjoying all of the action here. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube chat, you can get your hands on a $10 Steam voucher. We are giving one away tonight. All you have to do is type in chat Immersive Labs to get yourself into the draw for that $10 Steam voucher. Immersive Labs in chat, and you will get yourself in, and we'll draw the winner at the end on our fantastic little circle. Huge thank you as always to our commercial partners, Coach Dave Delta and to IMB Racewear for being so generous with the support for this championship. We're absolutely huge fans of their product, and very happy to be partners with them. A reminder as well, you can get your lifetime subscription to ACC Drive for just €25 when you scan the QR code that will be popping up on your screen very shortly. ACC Drive is a system, a platform for Assetto Corsa Competizione that provides you everything that you could possibly need. It is your ultimate toolbox, provides you up-to-date telemetry, it can give you engineering assistance, it can give you a live HUD and overlay as well, so everything you could possibly need for the sim, it's there on ACC Drive, and you can get it for a special lifetime rate, limited edition lifetime rate of just €25. We'll get the QR code up on screen very shortly for you. There you go. Claim your lifetime license, scan that in, and as if by magic, Jaroslav Honzik makes a move onto Kari Lehtinen, and that is the Wild Things Racing. And are they still Wild Things Racing by Colex.gg? Because I see the Colex still on the card there. Did quite enjoy that team. Of course, I know quite a few of the team there at Wild Things Racing. Denise Pope that heads that team up. Very good friends and incredibly talented graphic designer as well. Turned their hand to the brand new Le Mans Unlimited game, Le Mans Ultimate game that came out very recently. Was part of the dev team for that, and it's great to see the community, going from strength to strength, and helping make this sim racing community so awesome. Now, hang on a minute. Car 1 getting a 10-second penalty, 5-second penalty for causing a collision with the 255.
That's a bit of a moot point because that's Jack Alexander, and well, he's not in the race now. So that's not gonna. Maybe that'll be added post-race or something, or roll over to the following race. Regardless, unfortunately, you don't see Jack out here as Malinowski still in a fight, and another one for car 18. 10 seconds for causing a collision. Who is that?
That's Noel Hache, and 13 is Luke Arison. So that's a 10-second penalty for Hache. It's safe to say Race Control, Joe, really having their work cut out here tonight, because everybody's getting smacked down for. I still can't believe I said 30 minutes ago that it was quite a quiet race. I'm really regretting that now.
Zolder has a tendency to do that, where either it's all just like you said, a very single file affair, and we're kind of waiting for something to happen, or everything happens all at once. In this case, I think we're getting kind of both of those. For now, now I'm saying it. Now it's settled in. There's not a whole lot going on out there, but just wait 10 minutes and maybe, it might suddenly explode, and we've got everything happening on the track at the same time. So keep an eye on it. Also, you mentioned Valentin Barrier. A big credit to him. Remember, he was down to 9th, and to get his way back up to 5th so quickly, I'm impressed.
It's a hell of a comeback. It really is. It's very impressive indeed. And the thing is that could massively change, because there's some huge fights going on just in front as well. I've got a horrible feeling, and again, this might just be completely wrong here. I don't think Florian Durkhoff is going to get a podium here tonight. I think he's struggling for pace. in that Honda, because Philippe Minard in the BMW is coming into life, and I know Eamon Murphy as a driver is able to hold on to the tyres incredibly well. 14 minutes is more than enough to get 3.5 seconds there to that car in front there. So I just have this. I want it to happen. I would love to see that Honda on the podium, but I just feel like maybe it's the tyres that are starting to go away from it, but it's losing pace at a hell of a speed here.
Can we also mention, we talked about the BOP. We have 5 makes in the top 5 right now. This is very, very balanced. Really, the only clump that we're seeing in the main top group is a bunch of McLarens at the back of the top 10. Other than that, it's very intermingled, and I don't think you could really pick what's the best car today.
No, absolutely not. And I think the racing as well has been very, very varied as well. It's been very respectful for the most part in that top 10. We've seen some penalties coming through, here and there, but the simple fact is we saw that move from Boothby on Durkop. We've seen moves through the rest of the top 5 as well here, but I look at the back here from Amdel Casarino onto Maciej Malinowski, and that Porsche is just within that danger zone of that Aston Martin in front here, but it knows exactly how far is too far here. My interest is on Tommy Rozier just in the background as well, and further to that point about the 5 different marks within the top 5 here, I think that shows just what a wonderful job LFM have done with that Bob, and really evening out the playing field here. You don't get that excuse anymore. The thing is that Bop is always one of those things that it's the saint and the sinner. It's everything rolled into one. It's either the best thing or it's the worst thing, or it can be both at the same time for everyone. Everyone is going to complain about the balance of performance.
Or it could be that thing that the kids love, a good time. It's a real bop, is what I've heard. So, anyways. As we watch Rozier. Also, I think I was trying to figure out who that was. I think it was Malinowski that we saw coming out of Turleman that put 2 wheels off. You got to be careful there, because if you dip those wheels into the grass too much, the barrier on the right-hand side is extremely close. If the car loses control, you're basically firing it right into the Armco.
100%, and if you lose that traction, it goes round so quickly. There's no chance of you saving that. It's a brutal thing. We saw that actually from Luke Harrison when you clatter it over the curbs. It makes it so easy to spin out. But here is Philippe Minard lining up that Honda just in front of Florian Durkop there, as he's trying to get that 63, trying to get the attention there. And here comes Eamon Murphy. Remember, that was 3.5 seconds. It's now 2.1 seconds here. So yeah, this is danger time right now for that Honda right now, because he has got a big target on the back of that car. And well, I'll be honest, I wouldn't want to be in that position, mostly because I'd managed to somehow put it in the wall without any of the cars being near me.
Remember, Minard was the one that kind of got elbowed out of the way a little bit earlier, so he's going to be a bit fired up, I'm sure, trying to make up for it, and him catching up to second place. This makes for a great opportunity. Actually, is Philip been quick enough that he could even catch Boothby, or is that maybe a bridge too far as he's going to get down to the inside?
Oh, can't quite make it happen though. That Honda just sticks on around the outside there, gets the cut back in, gets the position back there. Florian Durkop just holds on right now. Look at the last lap times right now. 128.0 for Florian Durkop, 127.5 for Philippe Minard, 127.2 for Eamon Murphy. So no question, Murphy is right on the back of these two. You can see him just in the background here. This is going to be game over for one of these 3 cars here. There's only 2 spots left on that podium, but which 2 cars are going to get it, Joe? I honestly think it's Philippe Minard, sends it super wide, gets it wrong at the chicane, and completely cuts off Eamon Murphy right now. And you can see how frustrated Eamon Murphy is with that BMW, although to be fair, it was recovering. It just unfortunately recovered right into the apex of a chicane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he did anything really horribly wrong. Yes, he came back onto the track, but this wasn't an unsafe return. It's just that's where the momentum carried him in this situation. And now Minard is going to have to make the best of what he's got, which is the track position over Murphy. And honestly, I think the case here is keep your cool. Make them do the work. Hit your marks and just try and keep the pace up that you know the BMW can do.
I'll be honest with you, I think Florian Durkop is absolutely giggling to himself right now. As we see Maciej Malinowski taking about 15 moves to try and go around the outside. You're kidding me. Tries to drive around the outside of the Aston Martin. A little bit of contact there. You've got the McLaren there, Tommy Rozier sniffing about as well. Right, okay, so obviously something's been put in the water in this last 10 minutes here, because it's now, it's like throwing out time at the local saloon, because it's fisticuffs left, right and centre. Luke Addison now gets a 10-second penalty as well. We'll get a message from race control to confirm what that is for, but yeah, this is getting very, very testy indeed. Here comes Tommy Rozier, has a little look up the inside of the Porsche. Can't quite make that happen here, but the Porsche gets a good run out of that first chicane of the lap here onto the back of Matteo Casarino. Tries to get one way, then the other, cuts back, can't quite make it happen here, pulls the car to a stop into the chicane, keeps it going. There's race control message, incident involving the car 13 and 18. That's no Hatchie. It's a 10-second penalty for the number 13 car. Oh my lord, all three of them have got a penalty right now, so all three of them in detention together because they're not going to be able to serve the penalty, so that will be converted to a post-race penalty when all is said and done. But this is, out of the two battles that we were watching there for second, third, fourth, for me, I feel like, Joe, this is the one that's got the most potential for flash paper, for really getting a little bit over the line here in terms of the aggressiveness with the three cars here.
Already Malinowski's been making some big moves. We've seen him try to go around the outside here in Erst, turn one, and then have him dip wheels off before that, coming through Turleman. So he's a bit of a wild man, and yeah, I agree. I think if we're going to see something unfold, I think that is the spot to be, as Murphy finally has the run that he needs, and I think this is smart from Minar here. I think just let him go, try and pull in behind and see if you could return the pressure to him, because there's no point in throwing away a top 5 finish today.
No, you need to get the points here, but I think that the plan from Minar was to possibly try and get the cut back, knowing that Murphy had outbraked himself going into the chicane. The problem with it is that Murphy absolutely planted that car right on the centre of the apex there. There was no way past, no way, no how, and great move there for Eamon Murphy to take that final step of the podium. I've got no doubt that that is not the last we're going to see of those three cars. Meanwhile, back to the other three that we've been watching: Matteo Casarino, Maciej Malinowski, your previous race winner here, and Tommy Rozier right now. Three cars fight it out, all separated by less than a second. Malinowski closes up with the Porsche onto the back end of the Aston Martin there. Matteo Casarino can almost smell the engine of that Porsche right now. So that's how close they are. But it's Tommy Rozier that gets the real pound seat views of this little fight between the between the Aston Martin and the Porsche right now. 5 minutes to go, Joe. I've got no idea how we suddenly breached into just over 5 minutes left to go, but here we are. And George Boothby, do you remember when George Boothby had a little fight with Florian Durkop? I remember those days well, because that was a very long time ago. He's now 11.5 seconds ahead of Florian. That's ridiculous, is it?
The pace has been phenomenal. I guess he was just kind of biding his time early on, because remember, halfway through it was about 2 seconds, so maybe he was just kind of holding onto the tires to make sure he had plenty here to fight with at the end if he needed it. He didn't need it, but he's now basically made himself ultra safe. One thing about that Malinowski-Casarino fight, let's remember, that's 1-2 in the points, tied on the lead of the points. So whoever finishes ahead is likely to be our championship leader.
That is a very, very interesting permutation to that one. But to be fair, I don't know how much that's going to actually tie into things. I think it'll come down to the usual driver instinct of me drive fast, me hammer right pedal, because it's literally caveman brain at this point of the race here, although it is very, very restrained and very, very respectful from Matteo Casarino, Maciej Malinowski and Tommy Rozier at this final closing stage of the race. 5 minutes left then, ladies and gentlemen, of round 4 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship here at Zolder, David Christie on the microphone along with Joe Peake here tonight. What a race we have had for you. Despite quite a few drivers deciding to throw in the towel, we have had a proper banger here. And Zolder, it's hit and miss whether or not you actually get a good race. Sometimes it can be an absolute snowfest, sometimes it can be absolute fire. Tonight, I think, Joe, it's easy to say that we got absolute fire. So that's a car off in the background there. Was that Chris Hartfeld? It was.
Oh no. And he has thrown that away himself. 3 cars got by just from that one off track. That is absolutely gutting.
But to be fair, the only lifeline that he's got is there's 3.5 minutes left to go, and they are right there. He might be able to get 1, maybe 2 positions back here, depending if there's any fisticuffs between these 3 cars here. Or he could, of course, just decide to come in like a wrecking ball, but of course that would likely incur the wrath of race control later on. Up at the front though, Florian Durkop coming under pressure from Eamon Murphy, who has got a bit of a gap there. Let's have a look here what happened. Completely unassisted from Chris Hartfeld over that second chicane there. Bang into the front left there, and he's going to be lucky if there's sort of suspension damage on that car.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit more difficult for him to try and make those positions back. I doubt he got away from that completely clean. Now, Murphy on Durkop. Second place potentially for the McLaren, and he's thinking about it, but he's not as far alongside as the last pass that he made into there.
This is going to get very, very spicy indeed, especially as the Honda has a poorer exit from that corner. I think he's just decided to give that position there to the McLaren for some reason. It did look like he tried to let off there. The Honda tries to keep it in, but it's going to be the McLaren sticking over the inside of the chicane. Eamon Murphy up to P2, and now that leaves Florian Durkop vulnerable to Philippe Menard. I remain with what I said about 15 minutes ago. I didn't think he was going to stay on the podium here, and this puts him massively at risk, because that BMW is going to have scores to settle. Remember when they both went over the chicane and Menard locked up, wiggled about and went wide, and ended up giving that position to Eamon Murphy when he was just tantalisingly close to taking that second spot. Well, now he maybe gets to extract his revenge on Florian Durkop right now. We've got 1 minute and 48 seconds left to go here. This is going to be the second last lap of the race, I would imagine, and Eamon Murphy into second place there, and you can see already starting to stretch a little bit of a gap. Meanwhile, with the battle behind, it's still Castorino in 6th position, Malinowski in 7th, Tommy Rozier in 8th, Chris Hartfeld onto the back of Tommy Rozier. That might be the only position that he's going to have to console him with just now, because it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything else at the moment. Oh my goodness me, Joe, we have, honestly, this last 15 minutes have been absolutely mega.
It's certainly brought a different feel to the drama from what we saw at the beginning. At the beginning, it was basically chaos out there. And the last 15 minutes have been this almost calculated fight that we've seen between multiple different cars. An exciting fight, but definitely a little bit more cerebral.
Still watching this fight for P6 right now. We've got a couple of cars behind also looking to get involved there. That's Lee Catton and Noah Ader. Now they are just a second away here. There is going to be one more lap after this, because that is your race leader George Boothby just going to cross the line now to start the final lap of the race. And he will be probably about halfway round when we get the clock expiring here. But George Boothby, I mean, what else do we need to say about this driver here, Joe? It's really been a commanding performance here. He hasn't had it all his own way. Did have to work for about, at least half a lap there with Florian Durkop. But other than that, it's been pretty solid for them.
Yeah, it's been impressive. Boothby, even when things suddenly went awry for him, didn't panic. He just put himself in the right place, waited for the right time, and picked off that lead once again. Menard, can he get on the podium here on the last lap? That's the big question.
Well, we'll find out. We're coming up to the first chicane of the final lap here. Menard straight onto the back end of that Honda. The Honda gets a better run out of that corner, but it is indeed the BMW that does get the run here. This is looking very close indeed as they make their way down the hill. You before they come up to the right-hander. But we have to turn our attention to the race leader. 40 laps are going to be in the book here at Zolder for round 4 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. It's another win for George Boothby. Crucial points in the championship. Welcome back, Mr. Boothby. And just the 12 seconds ahead of Eamon Murphy at the end of that race. Murphy is going to finish in second position. Florian Durkop is indeed going to finish in third ahead of Philippe Minard. So he will get that podium position. Brilliant, brilliant effort there. Brilliant fight for Florian Durkop to do that. Philippe Minard fourth. Valentin Barry takes fifth position. Amadeo Castorino is going to hold on to sixth position. Maciej Malinowski will take seventh. Tommy Rozier in eighth. Chris Hartfeld in ninth. And Tariq Adam in 10th position. That's your top 10. And Joe, again, some big points that were taken away here today, but that top 10, I think they all earned that place tonight.
100%. We saw at the very beginning with the qualifying that there's small margins between everybody's outright pace. Race pace, I think, kind of backed that up. And the fact that the top drivers all finished, like you said, relatively close, barring Boothby, shows that this was going to be a tough one to try and take some points, as Addison's going to celebrate with some fun there.
Well, you know, I can't blame him just now, but great to see. What was another fantastic round here of the championship as Clifford goes across the line. And a lot of penalties getting given out today. A lot of questionable decisions from some of the drivers deciding to throw in the towel. I can't say I'm too impressed with them, but it is what it is. Just a reminder, we have got a vote going on just now for Driver of the Day. Is it George Boothby, Eamon Murphy, Florian Durkop, or Philippe Minard? Out of those four then, Joe, who would get your vote tonight?
Oh, I'd have to say that it's close between Boothby and Murphy, honestly. Murphy for that drive at the end, and Boothby just for the amazing pace that he showed. So those are the two up at the top, but I mean, I don't want to sway anybody. So if you have good reasoning for who you want of any of those four, just please give them a vote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of the things that we enjoy doing. My vote would go for George Boothby, not because he won the race, but because he was so generous and made it look like we actually had a chance tonight of getting somebody else on that top step there. Florian Durkop had a brief taste of what it was like to be at the top before George so cruelly took it away. But no, like, George shows how he has gotten the reputation that he's gotten here in ACC. The consistency, the performance, and the ability, absolutely second to none. Let's go and get your race winner in, then let's go and have a chat with the UK OJ, Booby himself, Mr. George Boothby, and a very, very good evening, sir. We'll get him to take his mic off mute when he is ready to have a chat.
Hey.
Right, hello. Firstly, thanks for letting the other people have a chance tonight.
Yeah.
Right, what happened there coming out of pit lane? Because obviously that was the closest that you and Florian had been for a while. But for the first part of that race, he was keeping you quite honest.
Yeah, he was really fast. I don't know what it was in Stint 1, but the chicane is the big part of this track, right? And every time I went over it, it was like rolling a dice of whether I'd do it well or do it bad. And there was so many parts of that race where I nearly died. And yeah, this first stint was just like one good lap, one bad lap, one good lap, one bad lap. So I just couldn't shake him. He was keeping me really honest. And then I'm pretty sure he didn't change tires. So because there's a 25-second mandatory stop, he gained 5 seconds and jumped me. But thankfully the tire wear was pretty bad, so I was able to just get around him pretty quickly. And then the second stint was great. It was like everything I remembered. The chicane was like butter, only a few sketchy moments. But yeah, stint 1 was scary. But it's just, that's the nature of this track. It is brutal over that chicane.
And obviously, again, we're coming into the second third of the season now. Some crucial points for yourself then. What is the rest of the season looking like for you? Because obviously, we've got quite a few we've got quite a few rounds left to go. Another 8 rounds left to go here, rounding things off at the Nordschleife. But up next, it's a pretty daunting track. We've got Barcelona up next. Is that one that you're looking forward to?
I do really like that track. I think this car's been like bopped a lot there though, because it's like without like custom BOP, it's like the quickest car, so a lot of people want to drive it. So I think it might be a bit of a struggle in that sense, but I really like the track, so I think I'll do pretty well next week. I've got good confidence.
Excellent stuff. Well, anybody that you want to say thanks to or give a shout out as usual this week?
Yeah. Obviously, all you guys, and I mean, it's good to be here because I've had a bit of a rough start to Genisus, so yeah, I feel like I'm back with a bang. So thanks to all you guys, thanks to Veloce and all the people watching at home on the chats, on your stream and on my stream. Thank you guys.
Well, just before you go, George, congratulations. You've won Driver of the Day, voted for by our viewers there. Obviously, they're glad to see you back at the top as well.
Let's go. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations, George. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. I mean, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. Right, okay. Take it easy. There we go. George Boothby then. Joe deciding that, as usual, it's a case of maybe we'll see him, maybe we won't see him.
It's the nature of sim racing. It's not like real racing where there's all this money and all this coordination that needs to happen for somebody to get there. It's, is the timing work, and can you show up and be able to compete there sometimes? So hopefully we'll be able to get him back. I thought we were going to be talking to Eamon Murphy, but he disappeared on us, which is a bit of a shame because I wanted to ask him about his pace there at the end. He looked electric.
He certainly did, and everyone's run away. We had a couple of drivers, as you said, in the waiting room, and they've all abandoned us. So I'm a bit devastated with that. So while we're waiting on that, we do have a couple of draws that we get to do here. So I believe we're going to do the driver participation first. That's usually what we do anyway. So let's do the driver participation prize. So let's spin the wheel, and it's a big one tonight. A lot of drivers within contention tonight. Who are we going to go? Not George Boothby, Eamon Murphy. That's give that. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Second place and wins a prize. So yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good day for him.
Excellent stuff. All right, okay. Well, there we go. No further away. We've got Eamon Murphy for you to have a chat with, Joe.
Perfect timing, Eamon Murphy. You just won a prize there on a spin of the wheel, but more than that, you got yourself a podium here today. We were mightily impressed by how you ran at the end of the race, charging forward, making multiple passes. What suddenly gave you that spurt of speed?
Well, I had a pretty bad quali, and then I was kind of in the McLaren. Unless someone makes a mistake, you're not getting past. So I was stuck behind Castorino for the whole first stint, and then I went long. I put in like 60 litres for the first stint, and came out of the pits, and then just done every single lap, like quali lap, and that was it.
Well,
and yeah, luckily the guys made tiny mistakes at the right time, and I was able to get a run.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Was that kind of your approach to making those passes? We saw other drivers have to get super aggressive and lots of argy-bargy out there, but yours never felt that way. Were you mostly trying to kind of bide your time, waiting for the race to come to you in that sense?
Look, if they didn't, I would say if they didn't make mistakes, I wouldn't have probably been able to get past. But McLaren looming in your mirrors, swerving all over the place, in the braking zones, like just distracting you, would soon make you make a mistake.
Yeah, that's a good point. But how, in general, was the track racing today? We kind of expected a fairly single file event, but it felt like just constant drama out there.
The first half of the race for me was, I was pretty stuck, but whenever I got released, it just all fell into place. It'd be interesting if I had to put a better quali lap on the board to see how far I would have been away from like George in the front battle, but I'll work on quality for the next time. It's my first kind of half official race back, so as a single.
Well, sounds like you got some homework then, but congratulations on the podium tonight.
Thank you very much, lads.
Eamon Murphy finishing P2. David?
Yep, there we go then. No Florian Durkop in for a chat with us tonight. So congratulations to Florian for taking third place tonight, and hopefully we'll get to speak to him later on throughout the season. In the meantime, though, let's go and have a look at our chats giveaway wheel tonight. This is for a $10 Steam voucher. Still gutted, Joe, that we're not eligible for this. I have tried various other burner accounts on this, but let's spin the wheel and see where we end up. Who gets that $10 voucher? And I'm slightly disappointed that it wasn't Angry Chubby Guy that got but it's Crope that wins the $10 voucher. So congratulations to Crope, but commiserations to Angry Chubby Guy, because that is a
He's
hell of a
even
name.
more angry now. Yeah.
That is the full name is Angry Chubby Guy in Underpants. I'm not gonna lie, that is my spirit animal right there, Joe.
I think, if you're gonna pick a name, pick one that is memorable, and he has done that.
I feel noticed. Right, apparently, Florian is on his way, so we'll hold off for a little while, and here he is, Florian Durkop. Good evening, my friend. Third place on the race. It could have been so close there. We're hearing, did you take tyres on the pit stop there?
Good to hear you. No, I didn't take tires on the pit stop, because I was like, in the pit stop, why not try something different that works in Hungaro as well, and don't take tires, and maybe like try to keep them off and behind. But yeah, as you could see, they were way faster on fresh tires. I mean, George did 26s, even did low 27s, even Menard did low 27s, so it was hard to keep them behind.
To be fair, though, you did at least have that one lap where you were right at the front of the field, right ahead of George Boothby, and he was really, really keen to get past you there. I was quite pessimistic. I thought the pace that you had, you were going to struggle to stay on that podium there, but you did it, and you held off really, really well against Philippe Menard, because he really, really wanted that final step on the podium, didn't he?
Yeah, he really wanted it, and quite a few times I had like a brown stain on my underpants, because through the chicane, always the Honda is the worst car to drive through there, and luckily the exit is quite good in the Honda, so I could always like build a gap to the next chicane and to the hairpin, and so Philippe had quite a difficult time to get past, and yeah.
Well, either way, some great points that you've taken here from the fourth round of the championship. That should move you up easily into the top 20. Obviously, we move on. Next round's coming up next week. We're off to Barcelona. What's your thoughts on that circuit?
Quite okay, I would say. Because Barcelona is normally a track which suits middle-engine cars, so it should suit the Honda, but let's see, because it can always go this or that way depending on the BOP and the temps, because the Honda doesn't like really hot temps and doesn't really like really cold temps, so it depends how it goes.
So it's a diva of a car, is what you're saying. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just got to be right. Excellent stuff. Well, great insight there. Florian, anybody that you want to say thank you or say hello to tonight?
Pretty much anyone who cheered on for me and the Honda, because it's quite the outsider car, and everybody needs to keep an eye on that car, I would say. And everyone who loves it, I'm really pleased to have you here.
Well, it's fantastic seeing the Honda back up being competitive again, back on the podium. I'm still dreaming of the day we get the Bentley and the Nissan GTR back up there. But for the meantime, congratulations, Florian, on third place, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, you too.
So there we go then, Florian Durkop in third position, Joe, and that is just about it for us tonight. Obviously, we've got a busy calendar ahead and a load more rounds still to come here.
Yeah, and you know, for all of our banter before of Zolder, and well, we wish that didn't have the chicanes. This layout actually put out a pretty darn good show. Barcelona, crossing fingers, that's the same deal because it's a different problem. It's not the chicanes that one has an issue with. It's all the long sweeping corners. So that could be a stunner. It could wind up being pretty single file, but we'll have to tune in and find out.
We certainly will. Same time, same place next week, ladies and gentlemen. As always, a huge thank you to you at home. A huge thank you to my good buddy Joe Peak in the commentary box here alongside me. And, of course, to Daniel Costello in the production team behind the scenes, as everyone else at the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship for putting on this championship. But that's us. We will see you same time, same place here on the Genesis Extreme YouTube channel. Until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon. The engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flag flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy deep contact, and there goes Valentin Barrier. Oh, the leader's lost it! Noah Ader loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses it. That's an amazing bit of work there from Luke Harrison.
Inside we have three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George Bidby. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again.